Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, so today we're kicking things off with some pretty big news. A major life milestone for former Victoria's Secret angel Jasmine Tooks.
That's right. She and her husband, Juan Borrero, have just welcomed their second child.
Making them a family of four now. But
Yeah.
you know us, we don't just stop at the headline, right?
Remember.
So our mission for this deep dive is to really unpack the sources you send over, look at the complexity behind this announcement. We're going to drill down into the details of the birth, obviously, but also the kind of unique way she managed this pregnancy alongside her career.
Which was pretty high profile.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And maybe the most interesting bit is how someone who calls herself a big planner, her words handles this huge life event that, well, wasn't quite on the schedule.
Yeah, it's a really great set of sources for looking at that intersection, isn't it? Personal life, big career demands.
Totally.
And I think the insight we're really after today isn't just, oh, a baby arrived, but, the actual planning involved, the support systems needed when something wonderful but unexpected happens, especially in such a demanding field.
Okay, so let's start right there at the culmination, the arrival. Jasmine Tooks is officially a mom of two,
Yep. The sources confirm it's a baby boy, Mateo Ira Borrero.
joining big sister Mia, who's two now, right?
That's right. Little Mateo arrived October 28th, 2025. So it's a very recent expansion of the family.
And the announcement itself, the one on Instagram, it was pretty much immediate, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And very sweet.
Oh, yeah. Lovely black and white photos. The caption was simple, just heartfelt. The greatest blessing, Mateo Ira Borrero, a 10.28.25.
Really nice.
But what's kind of fascinating, I think, is how they curated that announcement. It wasn't just about the baby.
You mean bringing Mia into it straight away?
Exactly. Well, there's one picture of Tooks holding Mateo, the one they really seem to highlight, the main image.
Is the one with Mia reaching out to touch his hand? Yeah, I saw that.
Right. And that's not just a cute photo. It feels like a deliberate choice. It signals the shift immediately.
From 3 to 4.
Precisely. It's not just mom has baby. It's Mia gets a brother. And we're now navigating this dynamic. It grounds the whole thing in that sibling integration reality, which, let's be honest, is often the biggest adjustment for parents with a toddler.
Yeah, no kidding. And that whole adjustment, that logistical challenge, it had been playing out really publicly for months already, hadn't it? Especially career-wise.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mateo's arrival was sort of the end point of a pregnancy that didn't really slow her down. In fact, it kind of became part of this big professional moment for her.
That's where it gets really interesting, I think. She first announced she was expecting back in the summer, right? With that beautiful maternity shoot.
Yeah, the flowing white gown, scenic background. Caption was, "Another little soul to love." Very elegant.
But then, not long after that, the big surprise.
The Victoria's Secret show.
Right. This is where you really see the career logistics clashing or maybe merging with pregnancy. She didn't just attend, she walked in the show. Pregnant.
And not just walked. The details matter here. She opened the show in Brooklyn, proudly showing her bump.
And the gold wings and bodysuit. I remember seeing the pictures.
Shimmering gold wings, netted bodysuit.
Yeah.
Opening a show like that is a massive deal. Physically demanding anyway. Doing it while pregnant. That's a statement. A huge, high-visibility statement about, carrying on professionally.
It really pushes back against that old idea that your career just pauses during pregnancy, doesn't it? Especially in modeling. Hard to imagine a bigger stage for that.
It's a significant cultural moment, really. And it ties right into that contradiction she mentioned about herself, the planning thing.
Yeah, she told Vogue that baby number 2 wasn't exactly planned, which is a nice way of saying.
This happened a bit sooner than we mapped out. But very welcome, obviously.
And then right after saying that, she identifies herself as a big planner.
And that is the core thing to analyze, I think. They definitely wanted another child, but she mentioned the timing wasn't quite what they'd envisioned ideally. They wanted to wait until things calmed down a bit.
Quote, when we both weren't traveling as much, which for them is probably never.
Potentially. But it raises that question, right? What does being a big planner actually mean when you're operating at that level?
Yeah.
It suggests that maybe the meticulous planning isn't about sticking rigidly to a timeline for everything. Maybe it's more about building flexibility and, crucially, having contingency plans ready to go.
So the planning wasn't to prevent the unexpected pregnancy.
Right, but to ensure that if it happened, she still had the structures in place to manage it, to still open the VS show, deal with the logistics, and handle the transition later.
So the real plan was having a professional life robust enough to absorb the surprise.
Exactly. That kind of adaptability. And, well, that adaptability definitely gets tested when you're doing it all with a toddler already on the scene.
Oh, yeah. That second pregnancy experience, she talked about that too, didn't she? With people back in September.
She did. She said it was actually smoother in some ways than the first one.
But sounds good.
It does. But then she immediately followed it up with essentially, but overall it's harder because, well, I have a toddler.
Uh-huh. Yeah, the toddler factor changes everything.
Completely. First time around, maybe you can nap when you feel tired. Second time, you're chasing a small person with endless energy.
So what was her coping strategy, did she say?
Her advice was pretty simple, almost understated, trying to relax when I can.
Relax when I can. I mean, that's the dream, isn't it? But if you're Jasmine Tooks, just opened the VS show, how realistic is that without some serious backup?
And that's the critical point, isn't it? For most people, relax when I can means maybe 5 minutes of quiet time.
If you're lucky.
Right. But for someone balancing her level of commitment, relaxing requires, well, a plan, a logistical support plan.
Which it sounds like they absolutely had. The sources mentioned they were really proactive about lining up help.
Extremely proactive. And the specifics here are quite revealing. Tooks emphasized how important family support was. Specifically, her husband, Juan David's family.
They were coming for how long?
They were planning to come into town for 2 to 3 months.
2 to 3 months. Wow. Okay, that's not just a weekend visit. That's like temporary relocation.
It's basically deploying a support unit, a full-time live-in support system for the crucial early phase.
And wasn't her family helping too?
Yep, she mentioned her own mom and family would also be pitching in. So you've got this multi-generational safety net being set up for months.
Okay.
And if we connect that to the bigger picture, that level of support, planned well in advance, really underlines what it takes. Managing that newborn phase, especially with a toddler, while maintaining any kind of demanding career or public profile, it requires serious infrastructure.
It makes the relax when I can sound a bit more achievable.
It enables it. That ability to handle the unplanned but welcome career moment, like walking the runway, is totally linked to having that heavy-duty practical support locked down at home. That's the real cost, the real requirement of making it work at that level.
So the success of the planner isn't about avoiding surprises.
It's about having the resources and foresight to build a system that can absorb them, mitigate the practical impact through these really robust, maybe even well-funded contingency plans.
That definitely reframes it. It's less about a celebrity baby announcement and more like a case study in, logistics and planning for the unexpected. So, okay, let's try and synthesize this. What does it all mean when we pull back?
Right.
We saw how they introduced Mateo, immediately bringing Mia into the picture, highlighting that family of four dynamic.
Careful framing.
Then the career piece, walking the VS show while pregnant. A huge moment showing that flexibility or maybe the strength of her existing professional setup.
The adaptability piece, yeah.
And finally, the crucial underpinning. This really significant multi-month, multi-generational support system they put in place.
Yeah, the practical foundation. So if we connect this to the bigger picture, I think what we learn isn't just about celebrity life. It's about planning itself, maybe.
Paso.
Well, the story shows that even for someone who identifies as a meticulous planner, life happens, right? Great things can happen off schedule. And success in that situation isn't about forcing life back onto the old plan. It's about having designed your systems, professional systems, personal support systems, to be flexible enough, strong enough to handle it, to bend without breaking.
So for the big planner, the real power move is being able to adapt on the fly.
Exactly. Adapt instantly and deploy that kind of serious long-term support when needed. That's the flex.
Okay, so here's a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. Given Tooks calls herself a big planner, but clearly welcomed this unexpected timing, what does that suggest about the real role of planning versus flexibility in our own major life events?
Is true flexibility the key? Or is it maybe more about having the resources, time, money, connections, to essentially buy the stability that rigid planning used to promise?
Something to mull over as you think about the infrastructure that supports or maybe could support the big changes in your own life.